Do you find it hard to build out charts? Well, not with this tutorial. Alex here from Rebeloper.com, and if you want to build out this chart and many other awesome charts, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, open up Xcode, and let's dive in. Charts are everywhere, so today we are going to learn how easy it is to implement any type of chart into your iOS app. So I'm just going to build out one chart that I really like, the design of it, but you could do any type of chart, and this is what is going to look like. Really awesome, isn't it? And we are going to use a GitHub repository, so let's just jump right into it. First of all, let's just take a look at the repository that we are going to use, and that is called charts. How awesome is that? And go ahead and take a look at it. If I just scroll all the way down, you can see that there are a tremendous amount of charts and a lot of customization going on. So you could use these for financial apps, fitness apps, whatever you want, where you want to display some awesome data. Okay, so we are going to use charts with CocoaPods. So we are going to create a brand new project, and we are going to pod install our charts CocoaPods, and I'm going to also use, surprise tiny constraints to constrain that chart really easy onto our view. So let's just get started here and open up Xcode if you haven't already done so, and let's just create a new project here. And let me just move this a little bit closer so you can see this. So it will be a single view application. Let's click on the next here, and I will name this charts demo, for example. And make sure that you are using storyboard, because all of this works in UIKit. And if you want to use Swift UI, then just go ahead and use this knowledge that you learned from this video and create a UI view representable for your chart. It's relatively simple to do so. Okay, so let's click on next here, and let's just add this to our folder here. Let's hit create. Okay, so once you created it, all you have to do is close it, because first thing we need to do is add our CocoaPods. So let's open up terminal here. So terminal, there we go. And let me just drag this here. Okay, and maybe make this a little bit larger so you can see. Okay, what you want to do is navigate to the root folder of your newly created project, and that is type in cd and a space and just simply drag and drop the root folder of your project. And now put in it to create a pod file, and once that is created, you want to open that up in Xcode, so drag and drop it onto your icon there. And we want to add in here, if you just go back to your browser, you can see it's pod charts, and let me just copy that out and paste that in there. And I will just also use pod tiny constraints. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go ahead and take a look at the channel. There is a ton of tiny constraints relevance of where you can learn how to use. I even have a whole playlist on tiny constraints. Okay, and one last thing is we maybe want to use iOS 13 for that. Okay, we can just simply close it off and then go ahead and in terminal type in pod install, and that will install all of the dependencies. Now this will take a few moments. It all depends on your internet connection, but now you can see it's installing charts, it's installing tiny constraints, and it should create our Xcode workspace, because from now on we are going to use our Xcode workspace to launch our app. There we go. Here we have our charts demo Xcode workspace. So let's just open that up, and again let me just real quickly resize this so you can see everything that I type in here. Okay, and let me just remove this and take a look at the charts demo, and there we go. We have a view controller, and we are going to basically work inside the view controller. That's all that we are going to do. And while we are at it, let me just move this to the side. Now, first thing we need to do, of course, is just import charts and import tiny constraints. Okay, and now let's just, first of all, let me just add in here a line chart view, because I will guide you through the major steps that you need to do in order to create these awesome charts. And from there, you can take a look at the documentation or the demo project on the Github repository, and then you just simply move on to other type of charts. As you already saw, we are going to create a line chart. So I'm just going to name this, let's say, lazy var line chart view. Okay, and that will be of type, and if you just start typing in, you will see that there is something called a line chart view. That is what we want. Okay, and let's just initialize it here. Let chart view equals or line chart view, and let's just return it. Chart view, and there we go. We have our line chart view. Now, next what we want to do is maybe add it onto our view. So first of all, view dot add subview line chart view, and here we will have coming in handy our tiny constraints for layouts, and that is pretty simple. So we want to center it. So line chart view dot center in super view. Okay, and that's one thing. And then we want to set the width and the height according to the width of our screen. So line chart view, and let me just see here. We are going to use width, and just scroll all the way down to width 2 constrainable, because constrainable, if you are familiar with tiny constraints, is actually a view that we are constraining to, and the width of our view. The view is the view controller's main view. Okay, and next up we want to have a line chart view height, and we want to choose height to width of our constrainable view. Okay. And one final thing, maybe we want to add a background color here so we can see our chart view. So chart view background color equals, let's say, system blue. System blue. There we go. And yeah, we should see a plain old chart. So let's hit Command R or hit that play button there and see what we have done so far. Okay, so build has succeeded. That's really good. And now let's see what we can see there. Okay, so see what we can see there. And we can see a label saying no chart data available. And we will get to the that part too. Next stuff, we want to basically add a delegate, because we want to listen to taps, or rather yet when we are skimming through the chart. So chart view delegate, there we go. And this has some protocols that are not required, but one protocol that I really like to use is, let's say, chart view and value selected. So chart value selected, that is what you want to choose here. And I'm just going to simply print out the entry. So print entry. And this will print out where exactly we are skimming to. Okay, now we want to add some data, and I have already prepared here some data. And let me just move there to the other project. And as you can see, we have some Y values here, and it's a long data set. It's basically an array. So let's just really quickly go back there, and I will add this right over here. Now, This is an array of chart data entry. Now, there are a lot of types of chart data entries. This is the basic one. And basically what this does is sets the X value and the Y value. This could be an integer, this could be a boolean, double here. But yeah, you know, this is our data. Okay, what is up next? Well, after we have our data here, we want to set that data. Okay, so I will just go a little bit up. I will leave this chart values at the very bottom and create a new function here called set data. Okay, and what we want to do here is create a set and then create a line chart data. It's really hard to pronounce here. Okay, so first of all, let's create our set. So let's say set 1, because we could do all kinds of sets, and yeah, we're just going to call it set 1, just so you know that we can do even more on that same chart. Okay, and it will be a line chart data set. There we go. And as you can see, it can have an entries or a label. We're just going to use the one with the label, so you can see down at the chart the label of what we are representing on this set. Okay, and the chart data entry will be the Y values. There we go. And the label, well, let's say subscribers. Okay. Now that this is all set up, what we want to do is create a line chart data. So let me just have a space here. Let data, and that will be a line chart data. There we go. And with a data set of set 1. There we go. Now that we have our data, we just append it, or rather yet assign it to our line chart view. So line chart view dot data equals data. So now that we have our data set up, all we have to do is call this set data function. Let's do that on the view did load right here. Set the data, and yeah, let's just hit Command R and see how that looks like. Really awesome. And with just a few lines of code. Okay, so now what we want to do, and if you recall, it wasn't like this. It's good. It's not that bad, but we want to really customize this chart, and that's the whole value of the chart's GitHub repository. Okay, so first of all, let me just stop this and go all the way up to the line chart view, and we are going to customize this line chart view first. So what we want to see is set the right axis to be disabled. So let me just hit Command R here first, so you can see what I'm talking about. So I don't want to see these axes where we can represent the X values. Okay, so to do that, it's really simple. Just go ahead and chart view dot right axis enabled equals false, and you will see a lot of these kind of setups. It's really easy with the dot syntax. You can customize your chart to your heart content, and you can see now we don't have that. Now what we want to do is let's take a look at the left axis, and we want to customize that. And to do so, we want to name it y-axis. I don't know, because that's the y-axis and the x-axis. We are going to also move down that x-axis. So first of all, let's create y-axis here. And according to our charts repository, that is basically the left axis. So left axis. So we have just naming conventions. And now we can simply customize it. So y-axis dot label font. Let's use bold system font of size, maybe 12, so we can see all of that. And then let's set how many labels there are, but maybe we won't want to force, let's say, 6 labels per axis. Let's use labels for 6, and let's not force it. So y-axis, set label count, there we go, 6, and let's not force it, so force. Okay, next up, let's set our text color maybe, so y-axis, let's say, let it be white. I believe it was really nice with the white color. Now, what we want to set next is the axis line color. So we are done with the label color. So now let's set our axis line color. There we go, axis line color. And if you just mingle with the framework, you will see that there are a lot more to customize. I'm just building out this kind of chart that I really like. So let that be white too. And finally, we want to set the position. But before we do that, let me just hit Command R and see what we did so far. Okay, there we go. We have our white labels here with the bold system size of 12, and we have this white-ish kind of line color. And what we want to do is just maybe shift those labels in onto our chart, and that is just really easy to do so. So y-axis dot label position, and let's see what we have here. Inside chart or outside chart? Let's just see how inside chart looks like. Okay, hitting Command R, and there we go. I really like this. Let's just stick with this, or maybe we'll just change it to outside chart if you want to. Now, what we want to do is, let me just go back here. I want to move those from the up of the chart, from top of the chart to the bottom. So that's the x-axis. So let me just create our chart views, x-axis. Let's say, first of all, let's say label position, there we go, it's the first one. And that is, and as you can see, we have both sides, bottom, inside, bottom, top. I will just choose simply a bottom. And let's hit Command R and see the radical change that it has moved down there. And that's a good thing. Maybe I will just use outside chart here, because it should look relatively similar to the bottom. Okay, now let's just do the same old stuff, label, set label count, and so on for our y-axis. So chart view, first of all, label font. Oh, x-axis, label, font. That's the font. Now let's set the label count. Again, 6, and let's not force it. There we go. And next up, we have our label text color. And finally, let's add our axis line colors. So chart view, x-axis, axis line color, let's say to system blue. Okay. Let's hit Command R and see how all of that looks like. Really, really nice. Okay, so let me just add in a little spice to it, and this is really, really awesome. Let's animate this. So just start typing in again chart view and animate, and you can see there is an x-axis duration, a y-axis duration. I will choose the first one, x-axis duration, and the time interval, let's say 2.5 seconds, and let's hit Command R and see the awesome animation in action. There we go. After 2.5 seconds, we have that animated really, really nicely. Okay, that looks really nice, but that is just the chart. So let's take a look at the line chart, and that will be basically customized in the line chart data set, because yeah, it's the line that is set up in the data set. Okay, so let's just move a little bit down here, and there we go. We have set one. And first of all, let's let's remove those circles because I don't really like those circles. So set one, and it says draw circles enabled. Let's set this to false. Okay, let's hit Command R and see how that looks like. Really, really nice. Now, let's see, what else do I want to change? Maybe I want to remove all of those numbers. So for that, we want to remove the values. So we do that on the data. So let's see here. Data.set draw values enabled to false. And this is the only one that we are going to use on the line chart data. So let's hit Command R again and see how all of that looks like. Really, really nice. But still, there are those sharp edges there. So what we want to do is on the set, we want to set for set one, our mode. And there are a couple of modes here, but I will choose cubic Bezier. So let's hit Command R again and see those really smooth lines there, and it's kind of taking shape what we really want to achieve here. Now let's set maybe the line width for, I don't know, line width. Maybe let's set it to 3. This could be any double, but let's set it to 3. Let's see how that looks like. Really, really like how it comes together. Now let's maybe set the color. So set one, set color, there we go. Let's set it to white. Okay, that should be fair enough. And it's really, really taking place, shape. I really, really like this. Now what I want to do is just fill the bottom of this chart with some transparent, like I don't know, maybe 0.7 or 0.8% white fill. And for that, we want to first of all set the fill, and let's see, set one and set, I believe we just have to choose fill here. Yes, fill. And we want to have a fill of, and you can see there are a lot here that you can choose from. I will choose a color. So this will be dot white. And you could set the opacity here, but I usually use the fill alpha. So set one dot fill alpha. There we go. Let's set this to 0.8. Yeah, and I'm just using fill alpha because maybe you are using an image or something like that. It's easier to do so. Okay, finally, what you want to do here is set one, and there is something called draw, I don't know, draw field enabled, and let's set it to true. Okay, and yeah, basically that's it. Let's see what we got here. Really, really nice. How awesome is that? So let's just start touching all of this, and as you can see, this is kind of yellowish dew lines there that are just going there. But first of all, I want to remove that horizontal line, and for that we are just going to call set one and draw horizontal. There we go, highlight indicator enabled. Let's set this to false. There we go. Let's hit Command R to see what we got here. Let's just start skimming there, and yeah, that yellow is a-okay, but let's just change it to red so you know how to use that. So set one and the highlight color, that's just it. Highlight color equals, let's say, system red. System red. Okay, there we go. We have set up our awesome chart. Of course, there are a lot more and a lot more complex and It's that simple how you can set up these charts so you can use them in your iOS apps. So now you know how you can build out beautiful charts for your iOS apps. Now I want you to hit that notification bell because in my next video I will be talking about MapKit. That's right. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Maybe if you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. And while you wait for this video, go ahead and check out these two videos as well too. I talk a lot about Swift UI, UI Kit, Swift in general, and as usual, I will see you in the next one.